Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from Parish. This is Ghost in the Machine. If you want to skip ahead in the review, please do go ahead. Get a few things today. So, first off, this is a pretty cool beer. Ghost in the Machine actually used to be like a West Coast amazing beer. I reviewed it. It was absolutely killer, but now it's clearly hazy. It's also probably one of the few hazies you will ever find in a bottle, which is very weird looking because you can see right now, like, it's a brown bottle, but like it's so hazy that it looks like there's like pineapple juice in there because the beer looks like pineapple juice. So very strange packaging, but they actually had it side by side on the shelf with the cans. I've heard for obviously to review the 12 ounce for you guys, a little bit cheaper, and also just 12 ounces more sustainable of a packaging than 16 ounce. So then I checked out the can. I checked out the can date, and I was like, oh wow, it's like a month fresh, very cool. This doesn't have a date, by the way. But for you guys, for a tip for you guys out there, it's actually on the 4-pack. So they stick a sticker on the 4-pack. So they were actually like bottled and canned like the day back-to-back days. So this is just as a month fresh as well. And then if you guys are geeks and you listen to Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine, well, first off, I said that this used to be a West Coast IPA. Yeah, now I can see what it looks like. It's clearly a very New England IPA, like strictly New England IPA. Anyway, shout out to Parish, who their, I believe, head brewer Ryan is now a Master Cicerone. So he recently got into the group of Master Cicerones along with a bunch of other guys. So that was really cool. And talking about that, actually, he was on Craft Beer and Brewing, and it was actually a really interesting podcast in the sense that, like, I'm cool with it. Basically, like the interview sort of went off like he didn't have a lot of answers for things, which I think people underrate for someone who's obviously a Master Cicerone, very knowledgeable about stuff. It's just like there's only so much you can say about beer that's actually useful for you, right? Like I feel like the guy's like, hey man, like, basically in my mind, like the attitude is like, it's like I could tell you literally everything you want to know, but you're not gonna be able to replicate the beer. And that's sort of the magic about brewing. It's like it's crazy about brewing that like you can sort of give away all your secrets and all this crazy stuff, and still like they're not gonna be able to, most brewers are not gonna be able to replicate exactly what you do and how you're able to excel and execute at that level. It's just a complicated thing about brewing. I don't know. It's just a magical thing about brewing. So I will say, I mean, obviously Brian's not listening, but I would have liked to hear like, hey, by the way, but instead, here are the things I do recommend, like geeking out on stuff that, like, instead of like nitpicking and not really answering questions on things that you can't really help with. It's like, well, I don't have a great answer for you, or here's your answer, but you're not going to really care. It's like, hey, these are the things I do think that can actually hugely improve your brewing processes because I'm a Master Cicerone, blah, 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 blah. But so, it's sort of like, I sort of have the feeling of like there is a lot of like intelligence fatigue. Like, you might have all this stuff back in your head, but in the end, like, do we really have to talk about this stuff? Like, can we just, whatever. I'm geeking out. I don't know. I honestly feel that if a decent portion of the population that listened to that podcast would think that he was being like snobby, or I don't know, not very good interviewee, but whatever. Ghost in the Machine, double IPA. Yeah. You don't have the ABV. It's like 8%, I think. Citra laden. Beautiful beer. Milky, pale, like old color, completely opaque, fluffy white head. While also talking, you smell it. So, very ripe. It almost is like orange Julius thing going on, pineapple puree, almost like Dole Whip. Big grassiness in there as well. So certainly that kind of like Citra, kind of a little bit of grassiness that Citra has on the nose, but then also just a good amount of that kind of like polyphenol, like green character that's just pumped up with tons of hops. It smells like a freaking hop bag. A little bit of light doughy malts. Cheers. Creamy. Pretty good. Good amount of grassiness, not too intense, but well, I was saying like not too intense to be like completely like where I'm like obviously dumping it down the drain, but it's pretty strong. Up front, creamy, sweet mouthfeel, light, kind of like almost like vanilla character. I'm still trying to figure out where that's coming from. I suspect it's a combination of yeast esters, the large amounts of like wheat / or unmalted wheat or oats or whatever the recipe is using, and then maybe there's like some hop compounds that are like accentuating like the sweetness. Like it just has this extra, I mean, obviously there's no lactose in beers, but I've had a solid amount of New England IPAs where it seems like there's a marshmallow, vanilla'd like what is it, marshmallow fluff or something like that. Like there's an extra creamy sweet thing that's going on. But I think it's a combination of all these ingredients and processes of making the beer. Very drinkable for it's pretty hidden in its ABV because it has not a big chew to it. It has a nice fluffiness up front. Continues with like that kind of vanilla thing, but also like this kind of orange peel. Not as ripe as in the nose, maybe a little bit of pineapple in there. But then like, even maybe like right before half palate, bang, you're hit with like big grassiness. Big polyphenol bite on this guy. Not much chalkiness to speak of, so nice that the water's not that intense, but it's very polyphenol. Yeah. So as you drink it more, this is definitely something you need to keep chilled. I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, it's just, yeah. And then it has a little bit of chalkiness too. There's just this line that you cross, right? It's like, like you have this, I generally oversalt things when I cook. That's because like I'm used to like, trying to replicate like restaurant recipes and like, I mean, some of the secrets about like, it's pretty obvious. Like the secrets in like, making home food versus restaurant food is like just double the salt, double the fat, right? Like it's just more salt, more acid, more fat, right? Like just make an exaggerated version of something. And that's sort of like what you paid for because like you're going out to eat and you want like big flavors. And you might have to drink a lot of water. Maybe they want you to drink more wine and beer. Yeah, more sales for everybody, right? But for home cooking, my flavor is a little intense. And there's a line to draw where like it's salty, and then like there's a point where it's just oversalted. like there's no like even my palate, generally likes things a little bit oversalted. It's just like you can't fix it. You're gonna have to either add more or you can't take out the salt, right? So you've gotten past the point, and that's sort of what it here is. I mean, you guys can do it with your food. You literally just like, you guys have done it, like where you're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, that was just one too many. And once you hit that pump, get past that hump, it's sort of like, shoot, like what are we doing here, right? Like, and that's sort of like that hump. Like it's not, it's just like right there. There's a point where it's like, okay, because it's actually not bad. The grassy green polyphenol thing actually offers this kind of like dryness that helps. It imitates bitterness for IPA, right? It helps move the beer on your palate and make the beer more drinkable. But there's a point where it's like distracting, sits on the palate, and that's just one flaw I can't really get past with hazy IPA. Good beer otherwise, but it's got a good amount of this grass water thing going on. But this probably is one of the best ones of the bunch. Like if I had to like, that's why I'm so torn about this review, because like it's actually a really tasty hazy IPA, but just has a just right, like a dose too much of that kind of like green polyphenol bite. Unfortunately, I'm probably not gonna finish this. I'd say most people like sort of new age hazy drinkers would probably give this like a 95 A plus or something like that. For me, I'm giving this a 83. It's just, again, I'm very picky. This to me is one of the like most annoying off flavors you can find. That's just that, like, you can't get past it. It's sitting on the palate, like you're expecting fruit flavors, but you're tasting grass. Like it just tastes like you're eating grass. And it's just an inch too far on that. So 83 until next time. Let me know what you think of this beer. Later.